What's up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Variant the Podcast. How you doing, Tim?
I am doing fantastic. Greetings, Variant Nation. Glad to be back in the saddle once again.
We're on a weekly, well, it's been weekly, but like as far as us, we're doing this weekly again.
Yeah.
We shot ahead, so we had a lot of
episodes. It feels
episodes.
weird because we pre-recorded a bunch of content for you guys, but for us, we're back. We're back in studio.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're back to cranking and doing all the different things that we do. But it's kind of weird because it's like everything's come and gone already.
It's really weird.
It's like this endless barrage of time just flying by, like we're on some kind of high-speed railway.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
It's crazy,
It's gonna
man.
be summer's gonna be here like that.
We're 2 weeks into January. It's insane.
It's like an endless thing. Don't we say this like every year? So
It's
we're like,
constant. Yeah.
It's summer. It's like, how is it summer? Halloween comes. How is it Halloween?
Mhm.
And it's the same thing all over again. It's just-
Halloween's next week.
But anyway, the latest episode of Book of Boba Fett, episode 3.
Yeah, man, we've watched it. It's in the bag.
But before we get into it, we want to let you guys know there's going to be spoilers for the first 3 episodes of Book of Boba Fett. So there's your warning.
So we know based on our last podcast how I feel about it. I felt already that it was a bit slow.
Mm-hmm.
And my anticipation was that we were probably going to get at least another episode, maybe 2 of that pacing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we got. And
It
I think
is.
you're kind of feeling it now.
Yes, I still stand by that I really enjoyed the first 2 episodes. Could it have been a little more action-packed? Yes, but I did like all the ton of Easter eggs, especially in the second episode. But also the backstory we got for Boba Fett and how he, befriended the Tusken Raiders and all that stuff. I was fine with that. But with episode 3, I was like, oh, because they ended episode 2 on such a like, oh, he's now one of them. He's even doing like, he's been initiated. He made his gaffy stick. He did that ritual dance with them. He's in. We got it. We know how he befriended them and why he looked like that when he was introduced to us in Mando season 2.
Which was very cool.
Very, very cool. But for 3, I'm like, cool, we got that out of the way. But now let's do some stuff, Boba Fett. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's have some action.
It's not. Yeah. Let's have some action.
Because you got the awesome and pretty long train sequence in episode 2, so it's not like we haven't had any action. Action in the sense like I feel like Boba Fett hasn't really done anything.
Yeah,
like
it's for me. It's not that he hasn't done anything. Which is also true.
Yeah,
it's not that part of it that bothers me though. And now we're 3 episodes in, and I felt like in episode 3 he was even presented at the most weak that he's been this entire series.
Yeah.
And we've already said that was such a departure from how he was presented in The Mandalorian and what we were told we were going to get, which was another step up of his, him just being a savage, in this new series. And I'm all for backstory and character building and filling in gaps. That was needed. Everybody wanted to see that, and we got that, and that's great. But it's weird for me how they're presenting Boba Fett as almost this kind of timid pacifist, where he's very reluctant toward violence.
Yeah,
it's the antithesis of what we saw in Mandalorian, what everyone has known of Boba Fett, and I guess it feels very out of character for the character.
Yeah,
it's weird. It's a little bit weird. I don't know why there's such a shift, and we'll likely find out by the end. My initial kind of thought is maybe they're doing this to create a really stark contrast for when Boba finally snaps.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting a little bit of like Godfather, Michael Corleone type vibes.
100%. But that was an influence.
For sure.
The Hut.
You could tell this is very much
Lucas.
almost like a mob family drama sort of a thing that's unfolding, and I'm getting that kind of Michael Corleone, like where he comes in and he's reluctant and all this kind of a thing, but then once he finally flips the switch, he just goes real dark. You know what I mean? Real fast. And so I'm wondering if they're just kind of setting up that contrast. So when he goes all in and he starts really going hard on the toward and violent, and he does go savage. It's just that much more brutal, or appears so to us, the audience, which very much could be the case. But that's the part that really stands out the most to me, more so than, just the kind of there's not enough action or, whatever.
Yeah, that was a big complaint for me too. It still is, because I agree with that too, where this episode more so than even the first two showed that like he's not doing anything. He's not being the bounty hunter he is. I mean, it's weird because it seems like, are they almost trying to make him a pacifist? Like that's how he was, but now he's trying to change his ways, essentially. Because there's several remarks, he says in this episode and stuff like that. He even says, and this is kind of jumping ahead a little bit in the episode, but when he releases Black Chrysanthemum, right? He tells him, he goes, basically pick who you work for a little carefully. I should know I'm an ex-bounty hunter. And it's kind of leading to like, he doesn't want to do, he's changing from those ways where it's like, he's not going to just work for anyone anymore like he would. It's not just about the money. Has a lot more morals, I guess, which they're shifting him. And it's weird too, because it's like,
but it's such an abrupt shift.
It is.
That's the thing that gets me.
It is, but it's kind of weird because everything we know from Boba Fett is from obviously the original trilogy, which is canon, so that's all that really counts, that and anything in like Clone Wars and Rebels and all that stuff in the comics. But we've only seen him for like 4 minutes in the original trilogy, and then we get him a little bit here and there in the comics and stuff, which he's brutal. But as far as live action stuff, it's kind of just hearsay, right? So this is the first time they're really getting to show you on screen in a big way how he is. So I'm wondering if they're using that to be like, yeah, he was a ruthless bounty hunter, but he's changing a little bit because now he's like the crime lord, which is weird because he's still a crime lord, right?
Yeah,
and everyone keeps saying
that. That's what I'm saying. He's still kind of a mob boss. Yeah. Not kind of. He basically is the Star Wars equivalent of a mob boss, but the head of a family. But the thing that, again, it's just kind of weird. And I'm wondering if like his interaction with the Mandalorian and the stuff that he went through in the Mandalorian leading up to the end, where he separates, I'm wondering if some of the things he saw from Din, right? And again, the appearance of Luke Skywalker and all these kinds of things. I'm wondering if maybe that had an effect on him and he's trying to impart that. I don't know. But even at the end, I mean, the show ends, The Mandalorian season 2, with Boba Fett walking in and just killing Bib Fortuna. Like, so it's you know what I'm saying? It's just taking the family and saying, no, this is mine now. Yeah. I rule.
And then now once he takes it and all that stuff, he's like, but I'm not going to kill anymore.
Yeah, but like, hey, but let's be really nice and rule with respect, and that's sort of a thing. That's why I'm wondering, maybe they're just setting up like a stark contrast, because now we're seeing like with the entrance of the Pike Syndicate, the Hutts, he's having a problem with the Hutt family and all this kind of with the twins. We have Chrysanthemum there. Well, his interaction with Chrysanthemum was insane. That I will say, that bit, because he's in his chamber, his
Bacta tank.
Yeah, Bacta tank. And he's like, Chrysanthemum just reaches in and rips him out and just, I mean, Boba
it actually kind of scared me.
Yeah.
Because that was like, it was kind of like a jump scare a little bit.
A little bit
where you just see, rah, and he rips him out of the tank.
But, Boba gets a few shots in, but Chrysanthemum, of course, just, because he had no armor, no nothing. He was just in his skivvies. And he just got whooped. He's about to crush him. And then the emo, the punk, cyberpunk biker gang came in and helped him out. That's, again, that kind of goes to the thing about me, where he's just being presented as weak. Like he's constantly having to get bailed out by Fennec, by this, these new characters, this biker. What's the name? What's their name in the
Oh man,
the show? I forget already.
Yeah, I just call them the cyberpunk teens.
Yeah, I guess that's
on
Power
enough. Ranger Vespas.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. Power Ranger Vespas.
Dude, because that was
the multicolors.
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought. And I love the Power Rangers. Love them. That doesn't fit in the Star Wars universe, especially so Tatooine. Because didn't the color palette seem so off, right?
Totally out of place.
It's like, this does not seem totally like they should be on Tatooine.
Well, I mean, the whole that group as characters seemed out of place.
Very clean cut, very like cyberpunk.
Well, it felt like Blade Runner.
It just didn't fit on Tatooine.
Yeah, it just didn't.
You know what would have fit if they were, because I could see them doing that. There's lots of like freaking cyberpunks and half android stuff in Star Wars, all kinds of stuff like that. But like if it was more like Mad Maxy, more grungy, more, you know what I mean? Or more like, I don't know, Valance. Because when they said cyborgs, I was thinking of Valance, the other bounty hunter.
Yeah.
I'm like, but no.
No, just kidding. Yeah, it just all, but he's constantly having to get bailed out from various people.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just kind of how it's being presented. Like he's not capable of really taking care of himself all of a sudden. And if it wasn't for Fennec or this new group or his, you know, his guards, you know, whatever, he would just be dead like multiple times over at this point. And you know, that's, I don't know, that's kind of bugged me a little bit.
But it's also like, it's weird. I really like that scene with Black Chrysanthemum. I'm just gonna call him BK from here on out. Just to shorten it. BK.
Also known as the Burger King.
The BK Lounge. Well, that's a throwback to Dan Cook. Showing my age here. But like, I love the character, but he's so brutal in the comics. And also, as I mentioned last podcast, we know the two work together.
Yeah.
Boba Fett and BK were working together to find Luke, hired by Vader in the comic books. So, one, I'll start with when Boba let him go, it didn't seem like they ever met before. Was that just me? Did it seem like they know each other or knew each other in that they're back and forth? And it was very vague when he released them.
BK?
Yeah. When he released BK, didn't it seem like it was very vague where it could go either way?
Well, at the very beginning, you're talking about when he first appeared in last episode 2.
No,
when they were staring each other down.
Episode 3, when he literally told the guard to let him go. And he's talking to him, and the whole thing.
I didn't get that I thought it was a reversal. I thought in episode 2 it appeared they stared at each other as if they knew, and then in episode 3 it was like their first interaction, and he was just sent to kill him.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
So I'm wondering if this is the version, you know, they're rolling out of like Boba and Chrysanthemum's first interaction.
But because we know the Star Wars can't, you know, unless they change something that I'm unaware of, we know that Darth Vader Star Wars comic is canon.
Mm-hmm.
That is a canon thing.
That is an in-canon book.
Meaning they know each other. So ever since they introduced him last episode, which they had that stare and it kind of looked like, you again. But here I'm like, wait, are they going to make it to where they don't know each other? But that's not possible. It's canon, right?
Yeah.
So again, it's vague enough. Like nothing really went one way or another.
Yeah.
But
unless they tell us that's why he let him go, because of some past that they have, and we find.
I'm hoping, because I want that. It has to connect. And that would make it that much better.
Well,
for
that would put
fans.
it. Yeah, would keep it in line.
Exactly. So I'm like, that would be weird. Like the whole, because the whole giving him advice thing, where he's like, you know, take it from me, an ex-bounty hunter, choose who you work for, you know, a little more carefully. And I'm like, but he obviously knows you're an ex-bounty hunter because he literally worked with you to find Luke. Right. So that was a little off-putting. Again, it's still vague enough where that can go either way, but I'm like, are they going to make them not know each other in the show?
Yeah, it's very strange.
I don't know. But even the fight scene, like I said last week on the last podcast, BK is he's the end all be all Wookiee that's been introduced as far as strength.
He's a
goes.
beast.
Yeah, like we all love Chewie, but like BK would tear him apart.
Yeah. And he did.
Yeah. They fought.
He freaking did. He would be like Boba would have been dead.
But I mean, yeah, it was just, I feel they dumbed him down a little bit, but it's kind of the Superman thing. Every time they introduce Superman in an animated series or a show, they have to dumb him down a little bit, because if you show his true power, it wouldn't be entertaining. So I guess that, you know what really bothered me? You know what it was? Is I wanted the fight to be where it was just Boba and BK, especially when he threw him into his armor and his jetpack falls over.
Yeah.
I wanted him,
That's
and he
fair.
even grabbed his gauntlet.
Yeah.
I wanted him to do stuff like that, grab his gauntlet, maybe, you know, activate something, and the flamethrower goes, or the rocket launcher.
Yep.
But instead, the freaking Power Ranger Vespa gang came in to save him. That's because they started stabbing him, attacking him. They saved him, and then Boba Fett got up and, you know, put the gaffy stick in his back and all that stuff. But I'm like, no, this needs to just be Boba and Chrysanthemum. So it was a cool scene, but it was an opportunity to see Boba's true strength, and they didn't take it again, which seems to be the theme with these first 3 episodes, where they're saving something. I think he's going to like snap, hopefully, in episode like 5, 6, or 7 towards the end, and be like, all right, I tried. I really, really tried. If they do that, that would be cool. It's like, I tried to change my ways. I tried to rule with, respect. clearly not working, and he starts mowing everyone down. You know what I mean? Especially since another big thing in the episode, they introduced the Rancor, which really, really cool. That was awesome.
I liked how they did it too. The twins bring him. They bring him a Rancor as basically a gift because they find out that the Tatooine has essentially already been claimed by the Pike Syndicate.
Where it's the Pike Syndicate, but is it the Pike Syndicate? Is it?
I mean, look, there's a lot of things we don't know, and obviously it could be.
Everyone's got a boss, Tim.
Yeah, everybody's got a boss.
Everyone's got a boss.
Everybody's got a boss. So the Pike Syndicate is, kind of lingering. They arrive, actually. They start to arrive by the end of the show. But, we're going to find out there's obviously more behind it.
For sure.
These are some of the surprises that I assume we're going to end up landing on, right? And could it be a Sith?
Maybe.
We don't know.
This
is after the fall of the Empire. This is after the fall of Vader. We don't know what's left.
If the Solo rumors are true, it would make sense that Crimson Dawn is behind everything, because
possible.
We know from the comics now who's leading Crimson Dawn. Han Solo's old love interest. She is now the head of it because Darth Maul obviously got killed by good old Obi-Wan Kenobi. We saw that in Rebels. So,
and that brings us back to Darth Maul.
Or Darth Maul, yeah. But I forget her name. Kira, I believe her name is, right?
Kira.
Yeah. So she, literally they're doing that storyline in the comics right now. Yep. She is the leader of Crimson Dawn, which is that by design? You would think so. Why else would they literally be doing it in comics the same time as the show? Because it all matches up.
It does match up. And as we know from the Solo film, at the end, we find that she's answering to Darth Maul.
Which was the biggest tease.
It was a massive, unresolved tease that everyone was like, what?
I'm going to say it again. Solo gets more hate than it deserves.
I agree with that.
I feel like that movie, I'm not saying it's a perfect Star Wars movie by any means, but it was fun. It was entertaining, and it introduced a lot of cool ideas and stuff to the lore with Han Solo and Kira and Crimson Dawn and Darth Maul. Stuff, like you said, never got resolved, because at the end of that movie, we were like, if this does well, we get a sequel and Darth Maul's going to be in it.
Exactly.
And we didn't get it.
And we didn't. But, or are we? Because we know that Favreau and Filoni are notorious now, especially Filoni, for cleaning up messes. And for filling in gaps that are left unanswered.
Yeah.
So we know that there's more to come. We know that there's stuff in the background. We just get in the Pike Syndicate. So we see a bunch of stuff is happening. And that kind of goes back to what I was saying about they might be creating a contrast where they're giving us this Boba who's trying to do things a certain way, and they just won't let him. So he just gets point where he goes, fine.
I hope that's what happens.
The old way.
And he comes riding in on his Rancor, which they alluded to.
Which they already started talking about the Rancor. So he gets this Rancor from the twins after the Hutt twins. After they find out, they come and they say, hey, we just found out basically that the Tatooine's already been claimed by, another family. The territory's already claimed. So we're leaving. We don't want war. We bring you this as a gift, a parting gift, and, no hard feelings. Sorry, we tried to kill you. We sent Chrysanthemum, or BK as you like to call him, to kill you. But we're all done with that. And then they even offer Chrysanthemum as tribute, like do what you want with him, and he sets him free, etc., etc. But they bring the Rancor, and Danny Trejo.
I love Danny Trejo.
It's amazing. He's in everything, is he not?
Because Robert Rodriguez directed this episode, so they're tight.
Yes, wherever Robert Rodriguez goes, he's going to appear somewhere. So that was no shock. But he was great as the handler for the wrangler for the Rancor. But Boba Fett takes to the Rancor like it's some sort of kitten.
It's a puppy or
like
something.
A little puppy.
Yeah.
And he's just oh, you boo boo you. Who's my little Rancor?
It's kind of cool. Did you like that? The expansion of the lore for the Rancor? I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I like how they tell it it imprints on the first human it sees, and that's why it had it blindfolded and things like that. So he moved to the side. He said, I've been waiting to take this off so that I could properly train this one. And but instead he takes the blindfold off the Rancor and moves to the side so that Boba is the first one that it sees.
Mama?
Yeah, basically. So that was cool. I did think I did think, and this goes back to what I was talking about before about the production quality.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel like there was some like visual effects in this episode.
Well, not with the Rancor. I thought the Rancor scene looked
even
great.
the Rancor.
Really? I thought that looked good.
It was good, but it was, I don't know. It looked kind of awkward at times.
The Power Ranger Vespa scene was horrible.
Even the way they were moving.
Yes, it was super
slow.
It looked
like they
weird.
were on tracks. Like it was very odd. Like very un-Star Wars-like at several different points for me.
Though that whole gang in their Vespas is kind of what really tainted the episode for me. Because I didn't hate the episode. I liked it. But if you take them out, I would have liked it a lot more. Their introduction.
I will say I had one other issue, but let me finish the other thought before I did have one other issue though, with the episode just generally. But so in addition, like you had the production quality, him interacting with the Rancor is a little bit awkward at times, but it's cool. But they're already hinting at him. He says, "I want to ride it. I want to learn how to ride this."
Yes,
thing.
he does.
So they're setting up for him that to be like his big weapon, right? Basically, it's going to show like his power that he can ride a Rancor.
He also referenced his first appearance in animation where he said, "I've ridden beasts 10 times as big."
Yes.
As we know, in animated form, he rode that huge, I forget the name of the beast, but it was a huge like dragon dinosaur looking thing. Right. Which was a really cool nod.
Yeah, it was very cool. But he, so, it's clearly setting up for, again, the Pike Syndicate starts showing up on Tatooine at Mos Eisley. Mos Espa. So they start landing and they start showing up and everybody's like, hey, what are they doing? There's going to be more to come. Basically, war's coming, that sort of a thing. So it's going to get to a certain place. But this was the other thing that bugged me. I don't know how you felt about this. They're also inserting along the episode, they're inserting flashbacks again to his time where he leaves the Tusken Raider tribe, right? And then we see that the Tusken Raider tribe was massacred.
Which was very reminiscent to Anakin.
Exactly. I just didn't like that.
Really?
I felt like it was too simple. It was like an obvious like motivation from a motivation standpoint. It was like too obvious. And I didn't feel like they built that Tusken Raider tribe up to a certain point. Tusken Raiders generally have not gotten like the kind of love that you would.
Or they kind of they showed you like a little bit of the human side of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they built up these characters and then you just see that they've all been massacred. They're just dead.
Yeah.
And he comes back and it just felt like
kind
of a bad ending for first the Tusken Raiders, but also kind of a little bit of an easy out in terms of a motivation for Boba.
It's true, but you notice they didn't, because they made it a point to show the chief of the Tusken Raiders dead on the ground, but they didn't show, as I call her, of the Tusken specialist, the one who trained Boba, who we assume is a female. They didn't show her.
They showed the little kid.
They showed the little kid, but they didn't show her, and she's the one who he has the closest bond with her, as she trained him and helped. She's the one who brought him to the gaffy stick and everything. So is she going to come back around in the present to help him? And that
possible.
You got Fennec on one side and her on the other side, which is pretty dope. I think.
At least I think they didn't. They did not. I'd have to go back.
They didn't.
I don't believe they did.
They didn't. No. I looked. I watched the episode twice. So
okay.
I'm fairly confident that they did.
I only watched it once. And at portions, I had one eye open because I was tired. But yeah, I don't believe that they did show that. But, I just didn't really love that. And that's probably a nitpick on my part. That's just me personally. But that was my other thing about the episode. I was like, really that? Like, we've already seen that in Star Wars, and it's kind of just, it felt like a little bit lazy on my
The one thing I will say that I really liked, because again, I feel like half this episode I really liked, half I didn't. The things I didn't like was obviously, I'm gonna keep saying it, the Power Rangers Vespa gang, and then the fact that like Boba's not kicking butt; he's just having people kick butt for him, and being very passive. But I like the setup with the Pike Syndicate and all that stuff. I hope it gets to the point where he freaking loses his crap. But going back to the Rancor, the thing I don't think a lot of people are talking about is when Danny Trejo introduces the Rancor to Boba, he mentions the witches of Dathomir.
Yes, right.
Which Again,
which is a big pull, by the way.
Big pull. Because if you know anything about them, you know Darth Maul's mom was one of the witches of Dothmere.
In fact, if you have played Star Wars Fallen Order, you learn a lot.
You do. I actually just passed that part. I got the game for Christmas.
They are a big part of that game. And you will get to see it's a really solid dose of just how awesome of characters those actually are and what an incredible addition to the live action Star Wars universe they would be if in fact they did bring those in.
I'm very, very curious because, you know, again, Witches of Dothmere, Mother Talzin, Darth Maul's mom, another connection to Darth Maul, Crimson Dawn, that's possibly. Two potentially.
Now, they have not mentioned Crimson Dawn.
Didn't.
So, so one for sure, the other is speculated.
Yeah. But if, in fact, Crimson Dawn is a thing, that's a connection to Darth Maul again.
Without doubt.
But, I mean, Darth Maul, I'm trying to get my timelines right. Is Darth Maul... He's still alive. No, is he dead in this time period?
I don't know the answer to that.
I don't know. I might be getting my timelines crossed because Rebels takes place. We see Obi-Wan kill him in Rebels, but it's an older Obi-Wan.
Yes.
He's got the gray hair and everything.
Right.
But Obi-Wan is old in this as well. No, Obi-Wan is dead in this. In this timeline.
Obi-Wan's already dead in this timeline.
So then Darth Maul is dead then. If Obi-Wan's dead, Darth Maul's dead.
Yes, unless they find some way, because where he appears in Solo, oh man, it gets convoluted. Where
Solo's way in the past.
Well, yeah, Solo is prior to A New Hope.
Yeah,
and Obi-Wan is old at that time.
Yeah,
because those things happen in a very short time period, just a matter of a few years. So, yes, if it falls in there.
It's hard to get all the time, like, because there's so many Star Wars shows. They're like, well, let's take place between.
So Darth Maul, maybe not, but maybe Darth Maul's apprentice. So maybe it would just be Kira.
Yeah, just like in the comic books.
Yeah.
So maybe no.
But we could get flashbacks.
Flashbacks. So I guess it's more. It makes more sense for him to still appear in the Kenobi show.
The main point is that they might use, and this is the main heart of I think what we're saying is they might use this series to fill in the gaps from where we saw Darth Maul last. In Solo, and what happens with Crimson Dawn after that. If in fact Crimson Dawn is behind all this. And as you said, it's just a lot coincidental, a little bit too coincidental that they're doing a Crimson Dawn series currently in Marvel Comics. So, you know, it's like coincidence? I think not.
Because we know from Marvel's track record is anytime they're doing something in TV or movies, they like to capitalize in the books. But just had to point that out because I know there was fans that are probably yelling and be like, "That's the wrong. Darth Maul's dead. He's dead. Fake fans. That doesn't work." So okay, we're working it out. Okay, it's a lot of timelines here.
So, but the main thing is that Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau have been very good. They have an incredible track record of filling in gaps, cleaning up messes, adding to mythos, and that would be, from a fan perspective, filling in that gap would be great. More roundly of what happens there. Because, you know, Rebels, Filoni did a really good job with Rebels. But, you know, as we've seen with The Mandalorian, he loves pulling in things that he already did in Clone Wars and Rebels and even filling in more or pulling it into live action. So it's very possible that we might see Kira as leading Crimson Dawn, but then get flashbacks to how she got where she got with, you know, as the leader.
I'm just hoping episode 4, Boba loses his cool finally. We got 4 episodes left. We got 4 episodes left.
Yeah. Not much.
After next week, we got 3, which is where we're currently at now. We've already seen the first 3. So it's going to go by like this. It's going to go by very, very quick.
You bet.
And we know episode 6 is written by Filoni himself, which again, we talked about the last podcast. It's like, why is Favreau writing every other episode of this series, but leaving one to Filoni? It has to, you would assume it has to be like, oh, it's your character for this episode. You need to write it.
Or
one of your characters for your episode.
Or it's either one of the characters he created, or it's such deep Star Wars lore. There's so many different pieces that have to connect.
Favreau's like, I'm out.
That Favreau was like, you know what? There's a lot that has to happen here. This is you, Dave.
I need. You know what? We've had a lot of cool Easter eggs, even in this episode. You got the reference to like the Witches of Dothamir and like a lot of cool little things for fans of Star Wars lore.
You bet.
But there hasn't been anything yet that's like, whoa. Like obviously the finale is going to they're going to save that finale. But I feel like you need to put at least something in the middle to be like, oh, well, where's this going to go to the big huzzah?
Yes.
You know, it's like the second act needs something that makes you be like, whoa, what's happening in the third act?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're echoing my sentiment after episode 2. Because that's exactly where I was landing. It was like, it has cool stuff in it, but nothing has really grabbed me.
Mm-hmm.
And episode 3, I'm thinking, we're getting a lot more pieces added now. I'm thinking 4, we're probably going to get, like a first big, like, oh, okay, I'm starting to see where this is going.
Mm-hmm.
And I think 5, 6, 7 is where we're going to get like the heart of what this show is going to be. The stuff that everyone will probably remember in the end.
I'm very, very excited. And another thing too is, I will say it's a minor gripe, is I kind of want them to leave Tatooine. You notice like they've just been on Tatooine this entire time?
Yeah, I'm good with it because the story that I think that they're telling...
You don't want them in space or anything? So sorry. Because that was a good thing. Mando, both season 1 and 2, encompassed everything. He was always on a planet. He was in space. Like, you had everything in Star Wars, not just we're here the entire time.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine we're going to go somewhere at some point. Even if because especially like, if they introduce the Crimson Dawn, we're going to end up somewhere else where we're going to be seeing.
Where's Slave One? They haven't even showed him parking it anywhere. I can't say park.
He's got it in the garage.
Yeah, where's Slave One? Where does he keep it now? I want to know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm good with them being on Tatooine because they're showing the varying districts of Tatooine,
mm-hmm.
and they're getting into kind of the politics and the dynamics of Tatooine as a planet, which
that's cool.
I think is fun to explore, actually.
ED8, when he explained that at the very beginning, how it got broken up when Bib took over.
Exactly, and to kind of explore Mos Espa and all that kind
mm-hmm.
of stuff. So I'm actually having fun with that part of it. I really like that they're exploring in depth such an important place in the Star Wars mythos.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have a problem with that. My assumption is that we're going to leave at some point, but I'm good with it.
Yeah, well, we shall see. All I'm saying is if we get a young Han Solo, Luke, and Leia by the end, you imagine.
We'll see. I can't imagine we're going to get all 3, but we might get 1.
That would be crazy. Because they gave us a bigger scene of that flashback from the end of episode 2 where you see young Boba on Kamino seeing his dad leave.
Yep.
That was really dope. So they're recreating, these scenes and doing the younger versions of characters again. So... Mm-hmm. And they did it with Luke last season. I mean, Disney does it in everything now, it seems.
Yes.
Specifically Marvel and DC. Not Marvel and DC. Marvel and Star Wars. So maybe we'll get the Trinity.
We'll see.
The Star Wars Trinity.
We'll see. I mean, it's definitely unfolding, and it has been fun. I think both of us are just ready for it to pick it up.
Yeah, I want Boba to freaking not tell someone to do something. I want him to do something. And also during that bike chase, where at the very end he uses jetpack to catch the mayor's guy. It's like, why didn't you do that from the beginning? Why are you having your biker gang get him?
Yeah.
You got a jetpack, bruh.
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't it have been much more fun to see Boba flying above him, shooting at him and all that stuff?
Like, but also just in general, just looking more capable. Yeah. I'm just ready for that to stop. I want Boba to look more capable.
I want Mando season 2 Boba.
Exactly. That's what I was about to say. I want to see Mandalorian season 2 Boba back.
I remember when that scene, my mouth was open. That when they introduced Boba, when he took his armor back.
Oh, it was ridiculous.
I was just like, that's actually I think my second favorite episode of that season.
Yeah, it was so good.
That was insane.
So good.
3 episodes. That one, Ahsoka, and obviously the finale. Where those are the 3 standouts by far for season 2.
Yeah, that's a solid line. I mean, that whole season was so good.
It was.
I
wonder if that's too, because like Mando, both seasons were so good, and the Luke and Boba Fett thing of last season set the bar so high that it's like, because it was a return of Boba and Luke at its prime.
That's definitely
like, how do you? Yeah, Vader's like the only thing that could top that, and we're gonna get that soon
at some point. That's definitely playing a role in our expectations, but I don't think that the points that we're making.
That's true. That is true. We're making fair points.
Yeah. It doesn't invalidate them because it's separate from that.
Our points are not fake news.
They are valid. We have valid points, everyone. But yeah, speaking of Star Wars canon,
mm-hmm.
we had another big reveal in Star Wars comics, actually, just this week in Star Wars issue 20, Marvel's comic Star Wars issue 20.
Which was spoiled for me.
It
I'm
was
making my
spoiled
way
for
through
you.
the comics. I'm a little behind, but I'm like, dang it, now I know.
Yes.
But whatever. That's what happens when
It was
you're
spoiled
behind.
for me as well, but it's pretty awesome. It's, so Darth Bane was actually officially mentioned by name in canon now. So he's been hinted at over the years.
He's no longer Legends.
Yeah, now he has officially been pulled out of Legends. For those of you who don't know, Darth Bane in, Star Wars lore, previously Legend, but also hinted at in canon that there was a Sith who created the Rule of Two.
He's the yes.
And it is
He's
Darth Bane. Darth Bane's the guy. So
he's the Emperor's papa.
That's right. So it was revealed in a conversation, a holocron. Yoda, through a holocron, ends up sending Luke Skywalker to the living sea of Gazian. And there he's basically told by a Force echo of Elzarman, who tells him essentially the story and that includes a reference to Darth Bane.
Yeah. If you guys don't know who Elzarman is, he was introduced in the High Republic, the new Star Wars initiative.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So, and he's telling Luke this story, basically describing to him Elzarman of his time. He's telling him a story about his time, and this is how we reached this time of peace and this kind of golden age of the Jedi, right? And he's saying this is how we achieved it. And in that story, he references Darth Bane. Well, by referencing Darth Bane and officially bringing him into canon, this is another step towards this kind of rumor that's been floating out there and more is increasingly picking up speed that we may be getting not just the High Republic, which we now know we are getting, live action or TV series, whatever. They are going to be bringing a High Republic to the screen. Which is not a surprise, but also simultaneously the Old Republic, possibly in film form.
Give it to me.
Yeah, and that introducing Darth Bane could could potentially be a big indicator of that move towards bringing in the Old Republic as well. Which for me, do whatever you want with the High Republic. I don't care. Do whatever you want. I just Old Republic. That's for me. That is what I want. I know it's what you want. I know it's what many of the Star Wars fans that I know are waiting for. We want the Old Republic. Give us a series or a trilogy. I want a trilogy.
Dude.
I want a film trilogy.
Like Lord of the Rings style epic?
Yes, man. Yes. Give me that huge, big budget tentpole trilogy where I can go sit at an IMAX or a Dolby and just watch that in all of its glory. Because if you bring us Darth Bane, Darth Revan, and who's
also in canon now.
Yes, who's also in canon. This is what I'm saying. This is
two.
The next
That's
one.
two Legends characters.
So if they do that, if they move that direction, man, but it could explain why there's so much shakeup with Star Wars. We know we have. Obviously Mandalorian, the series is ongoing. We've got Book of Boba Fett now. We know we're getting an Ahsoka series. We know we're getting an Obi-Wan series, those sorts of things. But there's also been a lot of shifting around, even with what they're doing on Disney Plus with Star Wars. But most importantly, in the movies, we had the series, what was it called? Rogue Squadron is postponed indefinitely. Yep. And there is really we've got Andor that they've been done with. And it's just sitting there, no announcement date.
I thought that was slated for the end of this year. That's like the rumor?
But there's no official date.
Same thing with Mando season 3.
Yeah. But I mean, that's like in production. Andor's like been done. Right? So there's just a lot of shakeup. And I'm wondering if it's that they're trying to sort out how are we going to roll this out? These are the two, what direction are we going to go? High Republic, Old Republic, and now maybe they're settling on, well, why don't we just do both? And this is how we can connect them, because how they're telling this story in the Star Wars series here and in High Republic, it would connect the two. Yeah. And there would be enough connective threads there to where they can actually roll that out and maybe tell both stories simultaneously, or in close proximity.
Yeah.
So if they do that, I'm all for it. Go for it.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see. It's interesting though why that they have to do both though, right? It's like there's two parties that be like, well, if you're gonna do that, then you got to let us do this.
Yes.
Where they just can't all agree on doing this.
Yeah.
They're like, no, we got to do both. Especially with High Republic being so new.
Totally.
That's where Old Republic's been around since like what, the 90s, early 2000s. So people, it's a beloved part of the Star Wars franchise that only got turned into Legends once Disney bought Lucasfilm.
Yeah.
So it's really funny to me that they have to do both and they're trying to connect it.
You know why? You know why I love that? Because it is clearly just like everything else in our world now. It's like two separate camps.
Yeah.
And each wants their own very specific thing. So they're trying to cater to both, and they don't want to choose one or the other because they know that it's going to cause them probably to lose money, just like what happened, or have to do a bunch of damage control, just like what happened with the last trilogy, right? So they're like, okay, well, can we have our cake and eat it too? But the other reason I like that is that it will create essentially a control group.
Control group.
Right? It'll be like a case study, and it will be a clear marker of which one is going to win out in the end, because whichever one is the most successful is the direction they're going to.
Which is kind of dangerous, right? Because it's a gamble. Because it's going to say that who was right and who was wrong.
That's one of the reasons why I'm like, I don't know that they'll do it. That's why I thought that in the initial. I don't know if they'll do that, because it would clearly define who was right and who was wrong.
It's also interesting that there is kind of two camps, because you got the Favreau Filoni verse, which they're doing Ahsoka, Boba Fett. They were doing Rangers of the New Republic, and I don't think they're doing Kenobi, but they took one of their best directors from Mandalorian, which was from Favreau, which is Deborah Chow, which she was very much, as far as Star Wars goes, she came up under Favreau and Filoni. So I'd imagine, their footprint is going to be there a little bit. And she even said it in the gallery thing where, it's like, it's Filoni. So I'm sure he was on the phone with her. He's like, what do I do with this? This is Anakin. What do I do?
Help. And
I need story beats.
And I want to be clear, when I say who was right and who was wrong, I'm talking specifically about who was right and who was wrong about what the Star Wars audience is looking for.
Yeah.
So that's all I really mean by that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't want to make it seem like, because it's, we're talking about an art form. It's subjective. Anybody can tell any story. So it's really not right or wrong. It's really who's more right.
That's what I was going to say.
Right? You know what I mean? There's no real wrong per se.
Right. But it's kind of like, what's more popular?
Right.
Indie films or blockbuster movies? They're both art, but what do people enjoy more?
That's exactly it. That's exactly what I'm saying. It just really comes down to, what is the Star Wars audience, the majority of the Star Wars audience, really looking for from these stories?
I think Mando,
and that would really tell us.
I think Mando is like the perfect case study. I mean, that would definitely tell us, but it's like, look how much more well received a TV show, while it is on par quality wise with films, it's a TV show that's responsible for all the stuff that people like about Star Wars in the last several years. Where how often do you hear people talking about the sequel trilogy?
Almost never.
Right. How often do you see people talking about Grogu and Mando?
Before Mandalorian, a ton. Yeah. Probably more than Disney wished was the case. But, after Mandalorian, all of that kind of faded into the distance.
All you hear everyone talking about now, it's what's in the pipeline. But I would say, even if they were going to announce another sequel movie, still Mando, Boba Fett, all the legacy characters. Which is funny, because Mando isn't even a legacy character. He's a brand new character.
No, he's a brand new character, yeah.
He's just, they put him in a world around all the legacy settings and things we love so much about Star Wars, and made him feel like he belonged there since the beginning, because they understand Star Wars.
Yeah, they used him to elaborate on Mandalorian culture, and mythos, to tell a story that had already been told, largely, but to tell it in a new, fresh way and kind of connect that on the live action screen.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was really, really smart.
This is the one thing, I'm going to go back to Boba 1 second, because this reminded me. Remember how I said a few minutes ago that, like, for Boba Fett, there needs to be something in the series where it's like, whoa, so that's what we're exploring this season. That's what we're going to.
Yes.
Case and point. First episode, season 1 of Mando ended with the introduction of Baby Yoda, Grogu, which we're all like, what? There's another one? You're introducing another one of the species, a Baby Yoda. At the time, we didn't even know, we're just like, that's why he's called Baby Yoda, because we didn't even find out his name until season 2. So that blew all our minds. There's been nothing like that in Boba Fett yet that's been like, what? That's what we're exploring? That's where we're headed? We've gotten cool stuff, but there's been nothing that's like,
no.
Huh? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and I want that. And we haven't had that yet.
I think we're going to get it.
Yes.
It's just and I get it. There's a lot of story to tell about Boba. I mean, again, in live action form, we got a lot more, as we talked about last week, that we got a lot of expansion of Boba Fett's mythology and backstory in the Clone Wars, the Rebel series, and even the prequel series. We saw a little bit more about him and what happened to Jango and all of those kind of things. But in terms of like what happened post Return of the Jedi, and even really rounding out Boba Fett's life in live action form, this version of Boba Fett with, in his armor and the whole shtick, in the previous movies, we only got about 6.5 minutes of him, little less than 6.5 minutes of him total. So it's like, you're looking at, there a time period where they've got to tell us some story. They want to kind of round out this character and what's happened to him since Return of the Jedi. So I'm okay with that. But yeah, we gotta land on, I think they're going to get to that, I think. And that's why I say the last 3 episodes, and the next episode might be an in-between where it's, you know what I mean? It might be it might start out slow, and then right at the end there, we get hit with a couple of things, and it's like, episode 5 is going to be insane. And then 5, 6, and 7 gives us our,
Luke shows up and is like, so you're the new leader, huh? Could you imagine?
Oh my God.
What if that's how What if how they
way.
end it again? Where now he's
Boba's
into his own. He's like, so I hear you took over for Jabba, and it just ends.
Dude, no way they bring Luke back in that soon.
Could you imagine where it sets up that now Luke is gonna fight Boba for season 2?
There's no way.
Probably not.
Why would he?
It's fun to think about.
Oh my God. I don't know, man. Because he just left him, so it's not Luke. There's no way it's Luke. But I would not be surprised at all if we get Crimson Dawn, and I would not be surprised at all if we get Darth Maul.
Well,
I mean, Han, Leia.
Well, remember, Darth Maul's dead in this.
I'm saying flashbacks. Of Darth Maul.
Okay, yeah.
So we get Crimson Dawn with Kira leading it, and we get flashbacks of Darth Maul. We get additional new scenes of Darth Maul.
I think we're getting Mando too. I think Mando's going to make an appearance here. He might make an appearance in Filoni's
It's
episode.
definitely possible. I mean, I was thinking about that. Is like, could we see characters from that show appear, and how would that work? Why would they come?
Because what if Boba's like, I need some help. I know someone.
That's definitely possible.
That's
definitely possible. Like he could call in for support, for some help.
So we even get.
So yeah, okay, that could happen.
Then Thrawn
get some crossover.
Thrawn, Ezra, or Ahsoka, because we know that's literally where we're going with
could
the Ahsoka series.
Into Ahsoka.
Although I don't know why you'd have to save Thrawn, right, for the Ahsoka series. He's going to be the big bad for that.
I mean, maybe toward the end of the series they set it up, but we're not getting Ahsoka for a while.
I know we're not getting that till next year, right?
I believe
which is
sometime maybe mid to late next year, 2023. That is.
That's sad
because we're getting Obi-Wan, Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I think that is late 2022.
Dude.
Potentially early 2023. So it might be similar time frame to when Boba Fett came out, but 2022.
Kenobi's going to be the first Jedi series we're getting. Because these last, Boba and obviously Mandalorian has been Mando series. So this is a series, the first series we're getting live action that focuses on a Jedi.
That focuses on any form of force power.
Yeah, and a Sith, obviously, Vader. So that's going to be, are we going to see lightsabers every single episode?
You know what it is? This is going to be, and this is why it's so anticipated. This is the first series that's a legacy. These are legacy characters, like right up front.
Boba Fett, because Mando is a brand new character. Yeah.
Right. Boba Fett is like a legacy character, but he's like, again, in terms of like the original trilogies and stuff like that. He was such a small role.
But he became
Fan-loved.
so iconic.
Fan loved, but a smaller role. The Obi-Wan Kenobi is taking the next step after Boba, saying, okay, here's your, and now you're really getting into legacy characters.
I'm a massive fan of Revenge of the Sith. I like all the prequels. I grew up, those are the ones I grew up with when I was like, 8, 10, 9. I saw those in theaters, and I saw the re-release of the original trilogy. But, those were made and released when I was a kid. So that's technically my generation Star Wars, right? So I said it on Twitter the other day. It's like, you underestimate my power. I just say that to myself all the time because it's so funny to me. I just like that line. So to see that elaborated on in the rematch of the century, I can't wait. I can't wait to see what happens. And they got, Hayden Christensen back. Oh, man.
That show's going to
that one,
stuff.
Because I was really excited for Boba Fett. But now you're talking about it's Obi-Wan and Darth Vader.
And Darth Vader.
Like, Darth Vader is one of the most popular villains, period.
And during a time frame, mind you, where the Empire is young and there's a lot of characters that are still alive. And the potential,
Darth Maul might show up in that series.
Yes, Darth Maul might, but I'm saying that's why I'm saying I would not be surprised to find Darth Maul in this one to set us up for that one. So, but the bottom line is that the potential for Obi-Wan Kenobi series it's almost limitless. There's so many things that could happen.
I'm trying to temper
it
because,
and it's not going to be for a while. We have to wait. We still have to wait a while for
young
that one.
Luke, Obi-Wan. Oh man, Maul, Vader. There's probably even more characters that I'm forgetting at the moment that will fit in that timeline.
It's going to be something. That one's going to be something.
What if they? Oh, okay. I'm reaching here. I'm reaching. But what if by the end of that series, the big cliffhanger,
we have fallen down
is
the
Mace
rabbit hole.
Windu is actually alive, and they announced that they are making a Mace Windu series.
I mean, we're right back to that.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? Everybody knows. I would love to see that. I would love to see that. I want to see that.
Because Samuel L. Jackson, we know he'll do it. He's in everything.
Samuel L. Jackson would do anything. But yeah, he would definitely do that. And everybody knows, I want Michael B. Jordan. I do.
Oh,
he
would
B.
be
Jordan
a young Mace.
As a young Mace Windu. I just want that with all my heart and soul. I've wanted to see that for years now. And frankly, whether it's Michael B. Jordan or somebody else, I'm honestly shocked that they have not already reached for that.
I mean,
because that is both. I mean, it hits everything. It's old. It's new. And it's something that fans have been just dying to see and get a resolution to. What happened to Mace Windu?
Mm-hmm.
But
because if Boba Fett didn't die, Mace didn't die.
Certainly possible. So yeah, that would be great. So I hope that we see that. I hope that we get that and we find out that that's going to be the case.
I hope we get Sebastian Stan as young Luke. That's what I hope too.
So many things. So many things. But we can ramble on about Star Wars for absolute eternity. But before we get to, because we're going to take some of you guys' questions here today, as we asked you guys what some of the questions you guys have had for us on our social media. And we've pulled a couple of those.
This is the one that literally just came in. Who's more handsome?
Between us?
Yes.
I'll defer. I'll defer to you. He's younger, the glorious Lex Luthor dome.
Wow.
I cannot compete with. But
got the brown bald head like the Rock.
So we're going to take some of your questions here in a minute, but before we get to your questions, we got a couple of weeks ago, we also got a new and a much longer and more elaborate trailer for the Batman, the Bat and the Cat trailer.
Which Tom King, you know how to be so proud. He's like, yes, they took my saying.
Yeah, dude.
They took it.
And because we've already talked about Tom King's clear influence on some of the visual storytelling that we've seen in the trailers thus far. But now with the Bat and the Cat, I mean, it's clearly like there's some Tom King influence in there, just kind of universally, which I think is pretty cool. He's one of the newer writers, so I was a little bit surprised by that, but it's pretty cool. But what was your take on the trailer and all the new stuff that we saw there?
I mean, this movie looks like it could be near flawless. I mean,
it was a very different tone, the trailer.
It is. Given I am the biggest Batman fan, that's my number one thing in fandom. That is no secret. But this looks great. I mean, Matt Reeves, Pattinson, it's more of what I've been saying over the all of last year and stuff like that. Very different tone, but I think it's just showing us one of the several aspects of this movie where it's clearly going to explore Batman and Catwoman's relationship, which is very Tom King inspired, as that's essentially what his whole nearly 100-issue run on Batman was about.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and his run also had the Riddler in it as well, which was a pretty big piece. The War of Jokes and Riddles was my favorite story arc from his near 100-issue run on the Batman.
Too, yep.
So I feel like Matt Reeves definitely liked what Tom King did, or at least aspects or components of it, because it's certainly an influence. If not, probably not even just visually. I would imagine the Riddler thing is going to be very, very like serial killer sadistic, which is going to be fun and not necessarily what Tom King did, but I feel like he's taking it and Matt Reeves is making it his own, obviously. In short,
just a little bit.
In short, it's going to be fun to see how Batman develops his relationship with Catwoman, because it's like that in Batman the Animated Series, the comics, all the great Batman stories, really, where we know like Batman has that relationship with Catwoman. It's that on and off again. You know, we love each other, but we can't be together. But ultimately, we are going to be together. You know, Batman's trying to change Catwoman. She's trying to change him. So it's this really cool dynamic that they're apparently going to explore in this trilogy, because let's face it, the movie's going to do really well. It's going to be a trilogy. We're getting two HBO.
It's safe to say.
We're getting two HBO Max spinoffs from it thus far. We're getting the Penguin and GCPD. So yeah, I mean, I liked it. It looked really, really cool. What can I say? It's just more of what we've been seeing. I can't wait if these 3 trailers now we've gotten are approved to
2 trailers and a teaser.
If the movie's as good as these trailers and teasers we've seen, this is going to be one of my favorite superhero movies in a long time, if not my favorite.
Well, first of all, that's like an obvious given.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like this movie looks so good. It's like a dud. It's like, what do you want me to say? It looks great.
So my biggest takeaway from this trailer, and you guys are looking at it right now. My biggest takeaway,
unless they're listening
from this trailer,
unless they're listening to,
unless you're listening. If you're watching the podcast, you're seeing it on screen right now. But my biggest takeaway here was it was a lot more confirmation on the visuals of this film, because it gave us it was a much broader look at the film than what we had seen in the previous trailer.
A lot more Arkham style shots, which I'm like,
But the entire tone of this, but the visual style of this film just looks outstanding. I mean, okay, I know a wide array of different people in terms of filmmaking and things like that, so that people of very different sentiment, or sensibilities rather, and tastes on filmmaking and style and so forth. And I don't know a single person, regardless of their sensibilities and their leanings, that has not looked at this and gone, "Oh, I'll see that. Oh, I'll see that. It looks both classic and different simultaneously. Like there's a little bit of something for everybody. It's just a really, really good. It just looks fantastic. And now you've added to that. This trailer really showed us that as you were saying, they're diving in a lot more than maybe I realized anyway, into the relationship between Bruce Wayne and Selina Kyle. And that dynamic of the Batman vigilante and the conflicts that he's going through internally, and the young Batman and his struggle with his rage and the vengeance, and him trying to find himself and who he is as a hero, right? During this time in his life, as the young Batman, the Batman really just getting going, and him coming into direct connection with this criminal. She's a burglar, whatever. But him also connecting with her, and these conflicts that play out. That's one of the great dynamics about Batman and Selina, as you already said, in comics. And so to see them really explore that more so than we've ever seen They did a little tiny bit in what do you call it? Dark Knight Rises.
Yep. A little bit.
Very, very small. But this is clearly like a full-blown exploration of, at least that's what it appears. That this is going to be a real exploration of that relationship. Probably that will continue on as we get into more movies, as however many movies they make out of this particular Batman.
At least 3.
But it just everything that we see from this movie just continually emphasizes this is both going to be a very new type of live action Batman film, so much different than anything we've seen before, but also is going to come along with it just incredible nods to so many different aspects of Batman's
all the great eras of Batman.
Yes. Yeah. And that's just, man, good on you, Matt Reeves.
Just the fact, if you've watched this show or listened to the podcast for any reasonable amount of time, BTAS, Batman Animated Series, is my thing.
Yes.
So the fact that just Matt Reeves is working with J.J. Abrams and Bruce Timm on the new animated show that's going to be on HBO Max.
Incredible.
That right there tells you his respect and love for, BTAS.
Yeah.
And he's doing the live action stuff, which you can already see the influence in there. So for me, that's like perfect world. A director who's doing Batman that loves BTAS, because that means we're going to see like direct nods and influences, which is that noir detective.
Incredible.
Color we're even getting the black and red color palette from Batman the Animated Series. I just want it. I mean, I have nothing bad to say about the Batman that I've seen thus far. I just want to see the movie.
It's going to be a blast, man. It's going to be a blast.
And the fact that the Warner Brothers CEO said it'll be on digital 45 days after it's released makes me more happy, because that means I could just watch it on repeat after a month and a half on my phone, on my TV, everywhere. I'll be watching it on the podcast while we're doing it. It's just on. I'll be looking at it.
Harris, what you doing? Watching the Batman. Right. Can we go back to talking about Boba Fett? That'd be great.
It's a warning.
And what's the other thing that's great is we don't have that much longer to wait.
And March 4th.
About a month and a half. About a month and a half. Unless they move it.
Oh, God. No.
I don't think it's going to happen this time, but let's all just hope that doesn't
I feel like after seeing the movie, I need to get a cowl, and then I'm just always going to say to you, it's not a signal, it's a warning.
I believe
and then you're going to be like, so what did you think about Boba Fett? What did you think about Kenobi? What did you think about the Marvel movie? It's a warning.
If you guys knew Arris in person, you'd know that's very possible.
Dude, I contemplated wearing because for Christmas, one of the things I got was a replica of the re-armored Boba Fett helmet. Mm-hmm. I contemplated wearing that on the podcast today. I'll probably do it for the finale. It's going to happen.
It's very possible.
At least for, the opening of the podcast.
What we're saying is we're very excited for the Batman. All right, so let's jump to some fan questions, some audience questions, and see what you guys are interested in hearing from us before we wrap up the show. We'll take a handful of questions before we wrap up. You got the first one, I believe, right?
Yes.
So what's our first question? Who's it from?
I screenshot it because we still got someone's coming in, and I didn't want to lose it. So the first question is from BPK8404 on Instagram. And they ask, what lightsaber color would you choose? Now, I picked this one because we know definitively what lightsaber color we would choose, because we did this.
That's right.
At the end of 2019, in December of 2019, we were invited by Disney to go check out Galaxy's Edge in Disney World.
That's right.
And one of the things we got to do was create our own lightsaber.
At Savi's,
right? And they do the whole ritual. They do the whole, you get to, pick your kyber crystal, pick the hilt. You get to build your own lightsaber.
Right.
So when it came to the point, they were like, now choose your kyber crystal. And they presented it in front of you. We picked. So
that's right.
I guess I'll just lead off. I chose blue because they had purple, they had red, they had yellow, they had green, and they had blue. So red obviously means you're the dark side Sith, right? So I'm like, no, I love them. They're dope. But if this was real, I'm fighting on the light side of the Force, okay? So I chose blue. Just, I like the color blue. But also, think of the people who wielded blue. You got freaking Anakin.
Yep.
You got Obi-Wan.
Yep.
And so many other legacy and iconic characters. in Star Wars, and it just looked dope. So I chose blue. That's what color. Not what color would I choose. That's the color I did choose.
That is exactly right. I, on the other hand, I chose green.
You did.
I went with green. Green has always been my favorite for obvious reasons.
Mm-hmm.
We got, of course, Yoda, Master Yoda.
Yep.
But we also have my boy, Luke Skywalker. Luke Skywalker has always been my favorite character.
Yes.
Yoda is probably in the top 4 or 5 characters. But Luke Skywalker is my guy. So that was an easy choice for me. Green lightsaber.
But also,
love it.
Qui-Gon.
Oh yeah, Qui-Gon Jinn.
Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yep.
That was another solid one.
Yeah, green is it was an easy choice for me, I guess.
Yeah, I remember you said you were like,
it was like a no-brainer.
I remember
actually.
I asked you because you knew you had to choose what color kyber
Yeah.
crystal, and I remember asking you, were like, no, I'm not gonna tell you. You just got to wait and see.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't know. I
could not be swayed.
It was between purple and blue. I almost went purple because I'm like,
You
purple,
did, I remember
purple's kind of dope. Mace Windu. It's not
common.
It's not common. But at the end, I'm like, blue. Blue's like just iconic Jedi again. Obi-Wan and Anakin. I'm like, that blue.
Yeah, I was like Yoda and Luke. I mean, come on.
That's another. I mean,
It's like, come on.
those are the two most iconic Jedi colors for sure.
Yeah, without question. So there's the answer to your question.
But what did you pick?
All right. So on Twitter, Grunk555 asked, would you rather see No Way Home for the first time again or watch Batman the Animated Series for the first time again?
We know my answer, but that's a good question nonetheless.
It's a good question. I just wanted to point out, because I saw it and I was just like, oh, that's kind of a fun one. But I want to point out 2 things in regard to this question. First of all, the answer is Batman the Animated Series.
That's the right answer,
That's
Tim.
the right answer. It's
that's
the only right answer. Because the second part of this is Spider-Man No Way Home. Great. Loved every bit of it. But I feel like this question should have been framed. This was a very subjective question.
Yeah.
This clearly is coming from Grunk. You clearly really did loved No Way Home is up there for you.
Yeah.
And that is not true of everyone. I would put Infinity War
Yes.
above
Infinity War is still my favorite MCU
No
movie.
Way Home.
Yeah.
So in fact, I would put Endgame still above No Way Home for me. So there's a couple of Marvel movies.
Ooh, I need to see No Way Home again now.
Actually, there's probably 4 other Marvel movies for me personally
Oh, wow.
that I would put above No Way Home.
I think No Way Home would be in my top 5. Would it be in your top 5? It's not number 1. Infinity War, I don't even need to see No Way Home a second time. Infinity War is my number 1. That movie,
Man.
I don't remember the last time a movie left me feeling the way that movie left. That left I will be talking about my experience of Infinity War when I'm 70.
Yeah.
That was just that was a solid end. Just the way the theater, what did you just do?
Yeah, it was pin drop.
Yeah,
type
everyone
stuff.
was just quiet.
Yeah. And I mean, we're kind of, don't get me wrong, I recognize also, we also have lumped on top of that the memorable experience of getting to be at the premiere, the world premiere of the film.
But even still,
with the cast, the crew, everybody who made it. So there was a very memorable aspect to it. It was the first time anyone had ever seen this film on a big screen.
It was a world premiere.
It was a world premiere. So that probably adds a little bit of weight to it also, but I watched it shortly thereafter and it carried just as much.
And Endgame we saw in the theaters opening night like everyone else.
Yes,
and
exactly.
You still like that one more. Yeah.
So, but I also would put Civil War above No Way Home. I would put Black Panther above No Way Home. I would put.
Oh, you put Black Panther?
Yeah, I would put Winter Soldier above No Way Home. For me.
Oh, I don't know. I'd have to think on that.
So I don't know if it makes it into my top 5.
All that to say,
my point is that Spider-Man No Way Home, while it was absolutely amazing, no pun intended, maybe a little.
Hey, they made that joke in the movie.
Yeah, the joke's in the movie. It was excellent. One of the best Marvel movies ever made. It's a movie you can watch over and over again. It has endless, ramifications for the Marvel universe, the Marvel Cinematic Universe specifically. That question is framed. It's very subjective. So for me, Batman the Animated Series is obviously going to be much higher on the list of things you love than Spider-Man No Way Home. So mine is Spider-Man No Way Home. Your answer is obviously Spider-Man or Batman. Oh, no. I think I said Batman.
Yeah.
My answer is Batman the Animated Series. BTAS. Yours is as well, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, like, you could put anything up against BTAS, and it's like 99. I don't think anything would be BTAS. I
can't see how it would.
I could say definitively that BTAS just beats everything. You could, like, any movie, show, it's like BTAS. That literally defined, like, my love for comic books. I say it all the time. Without BTAS, I probably would not be here talking to you and everyone else about comic books. BTAS.
Facts. Facts.
Yeah.
Facts. So what's the next question?
All right. So this one is not necessarily a nerdy question, but I picked it because it's like a personal question for us, which I think is kind of cool. So people get, so Master_Noob69 asks, are you an introvert or an extrovert? Which I think is very interesting, especially.
Wow, that's a good question.
Yeah. Because
very deep.
Because
looking to get down to our core.
Being like, a host and talking on a podcast, I think people would automatically assume I'm an extrovert.
Yeah.
Where I feel like I'm a hybrid. I wouldn't say I'm neither. I don't know if there's a word for being an in-betweeny, but I'm definitely not an extrovert. I'm like a hybrid because there's a lot of times where I'm like, no, I don't want to be around people. Yeah. I need space. I need time by myself. Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like Variant has forced me to be more of an extrovert.
Fact. That's a fact, yes.
But, I'm a friendly person. I like interacting with people. We go to cons. I love talking to, like, people like the show and stuff like that and just friends and hanging out. I love, meeting people and stuff. But I have, like, a time limit on it.
Yes.
Like, it gets to a point where I'm like, okay, now I need to be a recluse. I need to back up. Like, because I get, like, overwhelmed or tired or whatever. Because, being on, so to speak, it's mentally taxing. So I don't know. I think I'm I don't know. Is there a word for an in-between?
Well, what you're describing is an introvert. So it's an introvert.
No, I'm like, it's a middle ground.
Because it's a common misunderstanding between introvert and extrovert. Introverts being an extrovert doesn't automatically mean like, or I should say, being an introvert doesn't automatically mean that you're someone who just doesn't, is just quiet all the time, and you're not good around people, or you're not social, or you don't even in some cases thrive and do very well in social environments. It just means, and there's varying degrees of introvert and extrovert. But introvert,
I guess I was on the extreme side of things then.
Yeah, like there's an extreme version of introvert, which is someone who is doesn't, they don't like being around people. They don't like being in social environments. They don't like, especially speaking in front of people or being the center of attention. And then there's people like you and I, because I think personality wise, Arris and I have known each other for a very long time.
Yeah.
So we've seen like all versions of each other in every different scenario possible, I think. But our personalities are very similar in that both of us are exactly what you described. Both of us, I think, we love people. I love people. I love meeting people. I love talking to people from all different walks of life. I've always been that way. I really enjoy being being around, especially like different cultures and experiencing how other people live and stuff like that. So I love all that stuff. And I love being, how I've talked about when seeing movies, I love being part of that community and experiencing things that way. But I can only do that for so long, and then it becomes tiring.
So wait, so are you saying you're
I'm an introvert also.
Really?
I'm very similar to you. That's why you and I travel together really well, because we're very similar in that we know when it's time to be on, we can do it, and it's fun, and we have our fun, and but it's it's taxing on our energy. And that's where like introvert, that's the not so commonly understood aspect of being an introvert is you can do it, but it's tiring. An extrovert, that gives you energy. It's the opposite. Like being in front of people actually energizes you, and you come away like, whoa, I'm going to run a marathon. For us, it's like, that was fun, but I need a nap.
But you're more sociable, I would say.
I think you're actually more social than I am.
But you're more of a people person.
No,
I don't think so. I feel like you like people more than I like people.
I definitely will agree with you there. I like people more than you like people, in the sense of like you're further down the road of I like my space, and I like being
Maybe I have
quiet.
a quicker time limit. I think I like
Maybe a shorter
I expire
fuse.
quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I can definitely and also I like the
Because you could talk to someone like forever. Like you could
Yes.
just go on and on
Yeah.
and on and on. I'm like, after an hour, I'm like, I'm done. I'm out.
Although I will say I cannot talk to people forever about nothing. Like
That's
some
true.
people are really good at like small talk.
You're good at small talk. I think you're good at small talk.
I hate small
No,
talk.
I would say you're good at small talk.
I mean, maybe.
Because like how many times the podcast is a perfect example. Like we have like one little piece of news.
That's fair.
And
Fine.
we turn it into like an hour.
That's fine. But again, that's part of what we do.
Yeah.
Is finding like the little things to talk about. But like in person, like when dealing with people like one-on-one, like I don't like I guess I could say like it's more taxing for me to do the small talk thing.
Okay, it's more tiring. Okay.
Yeah. In fact, I was just talking about this with my my wife and my kids over the weekend. With that, for me, I really like. I'm big into meaningful conversations.
Right.
I like talking about deeper things.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my personality. So if we're talking about like meaningful things,
Mm-hmm.
things that are like important to people and in the world and, philosophy and politics and.
Oh, you'll go on for like half a day.
Yeah. Like I love that stuff. I love dissecting.
We've had that, like we were supposed to do work or get episode shot, but we end up in your office for like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Just like chatting.
I love that. I love talking meaningful things. So in that regard, yes, I can talk for a while, especially if it's someone that I know and love and care about.
Mhm.
Like we'll just sit there and shoot the breeze all day about,
Yeah.
especially if we're talking about stuff that's meaningful. I love that. But introvert, extrovert, I consider myself more of an introvert, but an introvert that still loves people, but it does get tiring being, socializing and being around people and stuff like that is tiring.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same for you, but you just have a shorter fuse.
Yeah. With that said, though, I'm so excited to get back to a Comic-Con and stuff eventually.
Yes.
I've been so deprived, like not even just going to cons to like cover it and do stuff, just enjoyment. I just want to be around peers and people that enjoy the same thing I do, because it's been 3 years now.
Yeah.
I want it, Tim. I want it back.
Yeah.
Especially the physical copy of Astonishing Times comes out summer, so I'm hoping by then, because that's like the perfect time to like, have my return.
Well, yeah, and the world is so crazy right now. It's hard to tell whether we're getting closer or further. I can't tell.
Toy Fair 2022 just got canceled.
So that's what I'm saying.
I know.
I can't. It's so difficult because there's just so many things happening. And there's so much information coming out and so much conflicting information coming out all the time.
I just feel like we're stuck. Like,
Yes.
like we're never gonna fully get back to normal.
There's this situation is just being created where we're just like in this, in this mud puddle and everybody's like trying to run forward and their feet are just slipping in the mud. And I cannot hope and pray that comes to some sort of a positive resolution here pretty soon.
Yet Spider-Man made $1 billion.
Dude, 1.5,
He's
1.6
freaking
billion.
crazy.
So, yeah. All right. So, next question.
Are we doing one more each? You got one?
We'll do one more
Okay.
each. So, Emilio Bruce on Instagram, he asks, what do you think of the MCU bringing characters from What If to live action movies?
Ooh, that's a good one.
It's a good question.
That's a good one. Well, one, I think they might be or are doing that in Multiverse of Madness with Sorcerer Supreme. And two, just to answer that question on a more broad, like just to answer it, I think that would be dope. I know they're doing a Marvel Zombies animated series. I think it would have been cool to like, I guess they still can in the Multiverse of Madness. Give us a live action zombie Cap. How dope would that be?
Oh, yeah.
So I think that would be a fantastic idea to see these alternate versions of if Chadwick Boseman was still alive, which, it would have been really cool to see a Star-Lord version of him. Who else was in What If that was really cool?
You had
the Hawkeye would have been cool.
Yeah, well, what do you call it?
Gamora, the Gamora Thanos.
Gamora Thanos. That's the one I
would
was
have been
thinking of.
dope.
Yeah, Gamora Thanos is one. But also you have Frat Boy Thor.
Oh gosh.
I guess that's not that far off from what we actually
No.
currently have. So I guess like you know what? I shouldn't bring that up because I do not want that to happen. I'll just leave that alone. But Marvel Zombies.
No, again, that's the first one I said because that's the
Marvel
one I would want to see the
Zombies
most.
is the one.
A live action Marvel zombie would be amazing.
Yeah.
That would be just so, and just seeing how like they would react to that. You're like, what the? There's zombie versions of us. Like that could be really funny with someone like with the right character.
Yeah, and I think I actually love the idea of really expanding the what if concept. I think introducing the reality of a multiverse into the MCU, which is what they're in the process of doing now, blasts open the doors for so much potential to explore characters, that we all know and love, but from different perspectives. I love that idea because it gives us a chance to see some of these characters that even legacy characters, that are, now, I mean, they spent 10 years in the MCU, Captain America, Thor, Hulk, blah, 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 to see them re-explored, even recast and see just a different version of them. I love that concept, especially with the Hulk, because of what they did with the Hulk. I would love to see an alternate version of the Hulk explored. Now, whether or not they can do that, I don't know. I don't know what all the contractual ramifications of that might be.
That's so sad.
Yeah, I mean, it's like work something out with Universal like you did with Sony.
Yeah, you did it with Spider-Man.
Come on. It's the Hulk, for God's sake.
Mickey needs to pull out his wallet, okay?
I'm saying.
Pull out your wallet, Mickey. We know you got it.
But yeah,
Spider-Man just made $1 billion, and I know it's Sony, but you did it with them. It made $1 billion. Come on.
Yeah. It's going to be close to $2 billion by the time it's done.
That's insane. That's like rivaling Endgame numbers.
I mean, yeah. It's getting close. It's not. It'll be in the top probably. I don't know if it'll hit the top 5, but it'll be close to the top 5 movies of all time.
That's what I'm saying.
It's in the top 10 already.
MCU,
I think it was at 8 number last time I saw it.
It's already second for MCU movies all time, isn't it? I think Endgame. I think
no,
it's not on pace to beat Infinity War.
No, it's not. Well, you got Endgame, Infinity War, Civil War, so it's just under 1.6 billion worldwide to date, and it's sitting at number 6 domestic.
So that means I pulled up the list of the top 10 most. This was done this month too. So the top 10 MCU movies, the top 3.
Well, it's the number 4 MCU movie domestically.
Worldwide, it's number 3.
So it's number 3 worldwide?
Because the Avengers worldwide did 1.5.
Oh, I see. Black Panthers did less worldwide. So you've got one.
Because worldwide is what counts, I feel like. The total gross
That's fair.
is like just all the money it made.
Yeah, that's fair. So it's number 3.
Yep.
Number 3 all time. So you got,
and it's still going.
Yeah, and it's still going. I mean, it's sitting at $1.52 billion worldwide, 673 million domestic, which is a butt ton.
Dude, because Avengers Infinity War got $2 billion, almost even worldwide, but then you have freaking Endgame. It was almost broached $3 billion at 2.7. 2.79.
It's the number 1 movie of all time, even though it shows as Avatar because James Cameron got jealous and re-released Avatar because he just wanted that number 1 spot. But I consider Avengers Endgame the number 1 movie of all time because James Cameron cheated.
But dude,
they should re-release Endgame and do like a special Infinity War Endgame combo for like an anniversary and just take it back.
Top 3 MC movies of all time, especially like this makes you think too. If in a world with no pandemic, would it have done more?
I mean, you would have to say yes.
Yeah, right? You would think, because you would think that's still affecting the numbers, it's skewing them a little bit.
Yeah, you would have to say, yeah.
Because even just as far as some places, theaters aren't still open.
Yeah.
They're still closed. So that right there.
Or at least minimized.
And there's
many theaters that have closed.
That's what I'm saying. So it would make you think that this would be even closer to $2 billion.
Yeah.
If this was like normal circumstances.
Certainly possible.
Which is crazy.
But I mean, it had every opportunity and certainly competitive. But I mean, it blew the doors off of any other movie that we have had in the last 2 years.
But it's also not fair because long term, like how long was Endgame and Infinity War in theaters? Like at least 3-4 months.
Like 2-3 months, yeah.
A long time, right? Where Spider-Man No Way Home is going to be in there for like 45 days.
No, it'll stay in the theaters.
Right. Okay.
It'll just be on streaming.
Let's fix this. Okay. So it'll stay in theaters, but the other movies, if you wanted to see them, you didn't have the option after a month and a half of watching.
You had to wait like
home.
6 months.
Right. So there was one way to see it. Where now there's going to be 2 ways to see it. Although the streaming revenue count towards worldwide money.
No, they count that.
They just count about box office.
That's
see?
just
so
box
then it's
office.
not fair. That's not fair.
I mean, no, it isn't. It's not. You're not going to be comparing apples to apples anymore going forward. It's just the case.
I feel like what they need to do now is get rid of box office, because if you're going to put it to streaming and be able to watch it at home the same time you can in theaters, you just need to count everything in the same pot. Just how much money did this movie make? I mean, not box office, just how much did it make?
We're just, the whole box office thing is just for us. It's just for fun. It's just it really is. I mean, it's like, who cares in the end? It's wow, another corporation made a couple $1 billion off of one of their products. Fantastic. It doesn't really do anything for us. It just tells us, it gives us a gauge of the popularity.
It's true.
So, that's all that really does. So we can look at that and say, okay, obviously everybody wanted to see this, which was the anticipation. And the point is, Disney's, you got some money in your pocket, fix it. Just fix it. fix the Hulk. Go do a deal with Universal. Let's fix the Hulk problem. It's worth it. Let's just do it. It's worth it for me. Just do it for me. I think that's more than enough. But yeah, in the end, going full circle, I would love to see them explore a number of different alternate versions and characters that have and even hopefully will appear in the What If series, because this is going to be an ongoing series. Mm-hmm. So I love that idea.
So does that mean this is the last one?
Yep.
Last question. Okay. Well, this isn't a question, but I had to read it because it was just very nice. Tomensor1612 says, I just want to say this is by far my favorite podcast. It is such a highlight.
That's fantastic. That's not awesome. So much a question as a statement.
It was just really nice. So I just want to say thanks, man.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And many of you guys have posted similar things, that you guys have really been enjoying the podcast. Man, that makes us incredibly, incredibly happy, because we're doing it for you guys. We're just wanting to interact with you guys, bring you guys more of our thoughts about these different things. And we're going to be doing, as we have been saying, we're going to be doing a lot more and bringing you a bunch of different types of segments on the podcast this year, including we're going to be doing interviews with creators from across the board, and bringing you just guys a wider spectrum of content here on the show. Yeah. So be watchful. But thank you guys, as always, for coming along the ride with us. We have a blast doing it, and we're glad that you guys are on board, listening and watching. All right, this one I feel like it's fitting, and it's an easy one to go out on. It's easy, so that way we don't rant again. This is the last one. Yeah, last one. Zavion Colwell asks, can you two talk more about Cobra Kai? I got the shirt up. Those of you watching, I'm wearing the shirt. I had to. Well, okay. And it's a simple answer. Yeah. Okay, so it's a simple answer. The answer is when Tim watches it. Exactly. Yeah, when Tim watches it. So yes, I'm going to watch Cobra Kai. I will get caught up on the show, and then we will get into some Cobra Kai, because I think you're current. I finished season 4. That's why I'm wearing the show. I just finished. Okay. So I am current. I've watched all of season 4. So now I watch season 5. I have 3 basically full seasons. I'm so jealous. I have 3 full seasons. Let me tell you something. I got to tell you something. It's another reason why I picked that question. This morning, before I came to the office, I went to Starbucks. And as I'm waiting in line, because I went in, as I'm waiting in line, someone says, have you watched the new season? Like a grown guy, like older than me. He's like a 45-year-old man. He's like happy about it, all giddy. He's like, and he was unassuming. Like, this guy like lifts weights. Like, he's a bigger guy. Like, looks like he knows some karate. And he's like, did you watch the new season? I'm like, I actually just finished it last night. He's like, how good was that? He goes, it's so cheesy, but it's so much fun. I just binged the whole thing last night. I'm like, yeah, I finished it last night too. And we talked about it for a few minutes. He's like, I can't wait. That cliffhanger though, season 5. I'm like, yeah, I know. So all that to say, this show, it just, because this is a complete stranger. It just shows me that everyone who's watching this knows it is cheesy and ridiculous. We get it, yeah. But that's why it's awesome, because they do it in such a way where, especially I watched the last 2 episodes 9 and 10 yesterday. Somehow, I don't know how, with flashbacks and stuff, they made a really good message and made it heartfelt to where I'm like, this is cheesy, but man, that's a good message. Like, this works. Like, which I think is the brilliance of this show. It really is. And I saw, I did see the first season, and I think the first episode or 2 of the second season, and I loved it. I think I was the one who told you to watch it. Yeah. And I was like, dude, it's so cheesy, but it's so much nostalgia. It's fan service for days, and it's just a fun show. And then I stopped watching it.
I can't believe, because there's the way it ends. They're doing season 5. I had to Google it after. The showrunner is already working. I think they're currently writing season 5.
Mm-hmm.
But the way they ended it, I'm like, because I'm not gonna say anything. You haven't seen it. I don't want to spoil it for people who are not current with the series. But the way they're doing things, it's like, how do they still have more story to tell? Especially with the whole it's always like Miyagi-Do versus Cobra Kai.
Yeah,
So it's like, how are you gonna keep this going in interesting new ways? And even when I was watching the finale, the last episode of season 4, I'm like, how are they gonna set this up for next year? And then they had this massive twist and turn. I'm like, oh, that's actually brilliant. Oh, that's actually really cool. Like, I get it. Like, this is gonna be good. And it was a really good cliffhanger, a really good teaser for that final shot to where it's going next season. I'm like, how do you keep doing this? And they keep referencing.
How do you keep doing
And they
this?
keep referencing, quote unquote, legacy Karate Kid characters. You're like, this is gonna be fun.
I gotta watch it. I gotta get back to the
it's
show.
so crazy.
I gotta get back to the show. Good on you, Ralph Macchio. Everybody made fun of you. Everybody mocked you for even thinking of the idea, and look at you now.
And it's the #1 show on Netflix.
That is remarkable.
As of shooting this podcast, it's been around 2 to 3 weeks, #1. Beating out The Witcher, beating out everything on Netflix.
Can we just address the reality of the message that sends, and how much of a confirmation that is of what I've said here on the show numerous times, is that, and you agree, that people are just looking for some fun.
And that's all it is.
Some honest to
all
goodness, fun escapism. That's what we are looking for from this entertainment. Like the constant, endless preachiness in everything, regardless of what it's about. It's just taxing.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that all art forms incorporate some sort of messaging from the artist.
Yeah.
It's how you do it, but also it's just been so heavy-handed for so long now that people are just like, can we just have something fun for 5 minutes?
And that's all the show's just about good and evil, essentially. Bad and good. It's just
simple.
Good, normal messages that's like unanimous. Like everyone's like, of course that you agree with that. Of course you'd want to be like that. And it's just fun. It's crazy to me that like this is actually one of my favorite TV shows, period. Because again, I never would have suspected, but they're doing it in such a good way. And it's cheesy, but it works so well. Like,
it's true.
Hats off to the showrunner, Ralph Macchio. It's just fun. It's a good, it's a family show too. Like you could watch it with like, your 10, 12-year-old.
Right.
It's just a fun show.
Well, again, congrats, Ralph Macchio and the entire team.
So yeah,
what a payoff.
To answer that again, once you get caught up, I want to do an entire, because you're 3 seasons behind.
Yeah.
So when you catch up, we got to do like a Cobra Kai podcast dedicated to it, because we'll have a lot to talk about.
We can do that. We can even do like maybe we can do like 2. We'll do one when I get halfway through, and then we can do another one when I'm current.
But on that note,
that's a good note to wrap this up.
That brings today's podcast to a close. So we'll see you guys next time when you talk about all things comics.